want to try and get 30 or 40 tips and hints. We're actually going to create a presentation dynamically that you can take back this afternoon and present to your own staff, or just turn it into banners or whatever. That's the objective, to get 30 or 40 tips put together that you yell at us, we'll type them in. We're just going to guide you a little bit. But let's go back to that don't do that. Can we get the first slide up? How are we going to do that?
It's not.
Okay, I think while they're doing that, let's talk about what's on there.
Perfect.
Oh, here we go. Look, there's no slides. It's interactive. This is the longest talk you're going to hear.
Don't believe that for a minute. It's Malcolm.
It's about networking. I might swap Tessa for somebody else in a minute, because if everybody else here is a good typer, we might do a swap over. Can we get the next one going? Because I want to get this going.
Yep,
oh, you did already. Sorry, Tessa. Go back one. Sorry. Okay. So we've got no slides, it's interactive, it's all about tips, it's all about ideas, it's all about thoughts. And that don't do that is still with us. Don't put your hand up for this, but you can if you want. Ever been at a table where the waiters come and said, don't touch this plate, it's extremely hot? How many people do you know that would touch the frigging plate anyway, just to find out, oh, it is hot. He just told you it was hot. Were you stupid? And we're still doing that. So what we want to do is, let me give you an example. Say you go on a course, a management course or a leadership course, and you learn all about motivation. And you think, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this motivation work. And you do one thing that demotivates, everything else goes out the window. It's not just about motivation. It's about avoiding the demotivators. You know, things like, just leave me alone, let me get on my job. Don't come up and keep trying to be nice to me. I don't want people to be nice. I just want to do my job. I just want to get on with it. And people think if they're nice to people all the time, that motivates them. Very often it can be a demotivator. So that's what we're looking at. Don't do this. Whatever you do, don't do this. And our first subject is, don't do this. If you do, you will annoy the customers. So don't do this. If you do, you will annoy the customers. So what I want you to do in your tables is to take a few minutes to write 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, in teams. Don't do this. You'll annoy the customers. So talk to the people around the table. If you haven't met them before, say hi, tell them who you are. We'll give you a bit longer on the first one. But I want a list, and I want them yelled at me.
Ready?
All right, have we got plenty written down? Loads and loads and loads, I guess, huh? So what we're going to try and do now is we're going to try and collate at least 10 of those and discuss them as we go through. So Dan's going to pick a table at the back at random. He's our mic man. We're going to give us our first one.
Can we have short words, please? My typing's not going to be great this morning.
I'll go to the Newcastle lassies first. They'll be nice
what we
and
got?
short.
Don't talk down to them.
Don't talk down to them. Okay, let's think of that. Who had that on their list? Don't talk down to them. Put your hands up. Oh, there's no point in me talking about it, is there, if you all agree on it? What the heck is talking down? I kind of know what it means, but I don't know what it means. Does it mean disrespectful? Does it mean using the wrong title, calling a doctor Mr. or something like that? That's not a very good example, is it? Doctors and Misters. If you'd have thought that's very odd, you get a doctor who becomes a consultant and they become a Mister. It's the weirdest thing. Why don't I become Dr. Super Doctor or Top Doctor or something like that? Where does that go? I mean, it's really weird. I'd be really upset if I was a doctor and got promoted up to a consultant and had to take my doctor title away. I think I'd still use it. I think I'd still use it socially. So, what does that mean? What does that mean about talking down? Not patronising. There's a very good word. So, not assuming they're stupid or they don't know what they're talking about or they've not used the technology before. Yeah, absolutely. And understanding the protocol of how we communicate with people in an organisation. You know, in some organisations you have to call people Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. or whatever. In others, it's John, Joan or Jane. And it's understanding how that all fits in. You can go from one help desk to another one, do a superb job, but still upset people because you're talking down to people. So that's a great start. Okay, what about when you, from down the front here this time, on this table here? Give us one of your examples.
Don't interrupt when they're talking to you.
Are we married? Don't interrupt when you're talking to, yes. And that's very difficult, isn't it, sometimes? Because you know where you're going and you want to get to the end and get it fixed, but this person wants to go through the step-by-step guide. And that's really, really annoying when you call the service desk and they say, okay, I want to go through this. I know all this stuff. And it's very difficult to get that communication right. because I've got to make sure I do ask all the questions, especially if it's an outsourced service desk, and that's not a criticism. They've got more tighter rule sets than maybe a more flexible internal service desk. So I think don't interrupt them is absolutely brilliant. Let them explain exactly what it is. And sometimes you even want to open the questions a little bit, the closed questions. But you get that one, don't you? That one, okay, I've got a problem X, and I've already rebooted. Do you ever hear that? I've already rebooted, don't tell me to reboot. And that's when you think, you want to shut up. You know, it's got nothing to do with rebooting whatsoever. It's going to fix nothing of this particular problem, but you're stuck with it. And, you know, my wife is non-technical. It's not a negative sexist thing. My wife is just not a technical person. She just reboots everything, the Sky machine, the television, the video player, everything she switches off and switches on. It's got nothing to do with that. But, you know, I daren't interrupt because she's got a plan in her mind and she's going to follow it. Now, again, that makes sense. In fact, she's better at fixing things than me because I jump to conclusions. It's another way of interrupting. Right, what about over there, the table way over there? Yep, that guy, that's it, you guys, in that corner, in front of the bar, or whatever it is over there. Have you got one? Yep. Don't use jargon. Whoa, yeah. Does anybody have, any of you have that one or something similar? Yeah, don't use jargon. Because we get annoyed when it's used back at us. When the names of reports and the names of screens are given to us, we don't know what it is because we don't use the product. The jargon is extremely important. It's almost impossible to not use jargon. People will pick it up. For example, my three now eldest granddaughters go to the same local secondary school. Every kid in the school gets an iPad when they join. Every single one. So they've got 1,300 iPads in the school. Every single one gets an iPad. It's a regular, normal state high school. It's not a fee-paying school or anything, just a regular school. The interesting thing is these kids here use jargon all the time. It's part of their life. It's part of their world. The difference is, what is jargon? Remember, there's business jargon as well as IT jargon. And we have to learn how to bring those two together. And it's extremely important that service desk people understand the level of jargon within the business and how to use the business. And that's something we've got to get better at, understand the business. Dan, do you want to get us someone from the back?
Yeah, we've got another one here.
Don't fail to deliver on promises.
Don't fail to deliver on promises. That could be something for life, couldn't it? I mean, it doesn't have to apply to anything else. It would be, don't fail to deliver promises. I guess you all had that one too, or something very similar, am I right? Yeah, a lot of people tell me, a lot of business managers tell me that the service desk does a good job up until it escalates. And then somehow no one keeps us updated anymore. We don't get the right feedback anymore. It's just like we've been lost. Eventually someone calls and says, it's now fixed, but no updates. Lack of information is one of the most annoying and infuriating things that you can put a human being through. Ever waited for a plane or a bus or something that just doesn't turn up, no one tells you why, it's really annoying. So I think that is absolutely, we really need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Tessa?
Yeah, absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely. We always kind of, if you over-promise and under-deliver, there's absolutely nothing worse than that.
No, absolutely nothing at all. Right, what about this table over here? You guys, right in the corner here. You thought you were going to have a sleep, didn't you, being in the corner? That's not going to happen. Listen, absolutely, yeah. So for the folks at the back, it was, listen, don't keep saying things like, I hear what you're saying. You know, I mean, you just become a caricature of some pantomime character if you're not careful doing that sort of stuff. And there's nothing worse than that kind of, it's condescending, I think, and it almost goes back to some way to our first one. Don't not listen.
Oh yeah, I can't think of a better way to put that than don't not do it. It's really bad English, I know.
That'll do.
You know what I mean.
Absolutely, don't not listen. I think that point, though, is extremely important. My friends accuse me of listening but not hearing. I don't know if anybody's been through that. You say something to me and it's gone 2 seconds later. It just doesn't stick. I haven't got the grey matter to grab it and hold it. So it's extremely important. Let the customer put those pegs down as when they want to say, did you hear me? Do you understand me? Otherwise, it's best to let people talk if you can. Okay, number 6. Who should we go to? What about this group over here? We've done one corner. Let's do the other one. I know you had loads written down because I saw them.
Don't be negative.
Don't be negative.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Tessa, what do you think?
I just said fabulous and I can spell it and it makes sense.
Dan, what do you think? What do you think, Dan?
Ken.
Ken. Sorry, Ken. Negative with an E.
Sorry. I'm nagging you now.
That's a negative. That's a whole different thing, you know. Yeah,
Thank you.
yes, yell out as much as you want.
Got one
Ken,
here.
Sorry.
Don't tell them that they're not a priority.
Don't tell them they're not a priority. The priority thing is a big issue in too many cases because we tend to put priorities as 1, 2, 3. What the business want to know is more, when's it going to be back? Doesn't matter what number you give them, it's when's it going to be back, when's it going to be working. Well, that's the real key. And to us, 1, 2, 3 is about allocating work tickets, to in my mind, about who's going to, if I've got time, which one do I do first, in which order? And there's a new thing coming out, by the way, which is going to affect you a lot, I think. We've got priority ones. Let's take electronic point of sale. You've got a priority 1 issue because the electronic point of sale is not working, you can't operate the store. But what about when you bring goodies into the store, like the things that are happening now, like at Sainsbury's, where you can grab a scanner, handheld scanner, and put your Sainsbury's card in. When you go around and do your shopping, as you put stuff in your cart, your trolley, you shine it and you put it in. You shine it, you put it in. You shine it. When you get to the end, you just push the total button, it's all paid automatically, you don't go to checkout. Great system. And others, Tesco's and others, got similar, different sort of systems that's similar. What happens if that crashes out? It's not a priority 1, is it? Because everything's working. But the customers soon get used to it. And if it's not working, they'll walk away and just leave the trolleys where they are. If I can't do it anymore, I'll just wander off somewhere else. I've only come in here to use this service. So we're going to have a lot more of that kind of stuff coming through. So they're not a priority yet. I want to know, when's it going to be fixed? And sometimes there are some service desks around the world that don't quote priorities, they just quote times. This is a 2-hour target, a 4-hour target, a 6-hour target, or whatever. Same with the doctors. Same when you go to the doctors. You don't want to know it's priority 1, 2, or 3. How do you know in the doctors when it's priority 1, 2, or 3? The doctor says, here's a prescription, go get some pills, come back in about 10 weeks or so and we'll see how you're getting on. As opposed to sit down there, don't move, an ambulance is coming. You don't have to tell me the difference between priority 1 and priority 3 at the doctors. I know by the service I'm going to be getting what's going to happen next. Right, where should we go now?
We've got 3 more to go.
No,
for
where
this
should we
one.
go?
Oh, where should we go? Sorry. Next
got-
to Ken
I've got
on
one
your,
here.
yeah, there you go.
We've got one, Ken, yeah.
We've got a couple. Somebody here said, don't eat your Kentucky Fried Chicken when you're on the phone.
No,
I'm not sure that should go up, but the other one was, don't make changes without warning.
Okay, let's take the first one first. The first one was don't eat. Yeah, even chewing gum can be a real pain when you're on the other end of the phone. You hear this clicking, sort of squeezy noise that comes down the phone. It really bugs you. This person's more interested in chewing their damn gum than they are solving my problem. So don't eat, don't chew, don't anything. That's a big no-no for a lot of people. Big no-no. The second one, don't changes. You're saying about changes. Don't make changes without warning. That assumes you get warned in advance that the change is happening. Sometimes the only way we know there's a change is when the customer calls in and the change doesn't work. Because no one's bothered to tell us, but someone's gone around the back door to do a change. So staying abreast of change management is a critical role within the service desk. And we're not as good at it as we could be in many cases. Because, big, high percentage. I've heard figures as much as 90% of all the incidents can be traced back somewhere to a change in the life cycle. People didn't put a new service in that had 100 errors in it. Those 100 errors have crept up over the time. So that's absolutely critical. Find out who the change manager is and get involved in that person from day one. ITIL, people talk a lot about ITIL and all sorts of things. There's one thing in ITIL that costs nothing, that's dead easy to implement, that can make a huge difference. And that is a request for change is put in before any work is started on the change. So you can go to a simple little library and see what changes are coming and who's responsible for them and check them out. It costs nothing to do that. There's no money required to do that. You've already got email. You could use email to do that. It doesn't have to be difficult. Last one.
Last one, and Ken's all the way down there with a...
Oh, he's way
with a
back
don't.
there.
But don't pass the buck.
Sorry?
Don't pass the buck.
Don't pass the buck. Does anybody do that? Put your hands up if you do that. No, no one does that one. Not a single person has admitted doing that, so I can have to assume we don't do that one. Would that be reasonable? Yeah, don't pass the buck. And that can get a bit confused with escalation sometimes. Sometimes people feel they're being escalated because you want to pass the buck and get rid of it somewhere else. So make sure when you escalate, the person knows exactly why they're going to the next level, not just, I know who can fix this. I want to know why aren't you fixing it. And so a very sentence there can make a huge difference. It's like a little bit of cartilage, it can make a huge difference. So we've got 10.
We have got 10, yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
Brilliant. Can I just say that there are other brands of fast food are available? I don't want to get us into trouble with KFC
Oh,
in here.
okay,
So
yes,
you can have
yeah.
McDonald's, pizza, whatever you like.
Yeah. Okay, does anybody eat McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken at the service desk? No hands for that one too. See, it's good. We know the negatives, but not what we're doing this. Let's have a look at the next one.
Okay.
The next whole topic.
Give you the next slide, if I can.
There we go. Now, I'm assuming on this one that you're bosses. You are bosses, most of you in here. Supervisors, managers, whatever. So what is it that you can do that will really upset the people working for you, or you think you've learned from doing it yourself and think, shouldn't be doing this, I've made a mistake. And that happens to all of us. You go down and think, I shouldn't have said that. That was a pretty dumb thing to say. And then you go and try and correct it, and that just gets dumber and dumber and dumber. So, from the position of a supervisor or a manager, what should you not do? If you do, you'll annoy the service desk agents and they just won't work as efficiently as they should do as a result. Okay, let's do that. Probably wasn't quite as easy as the last one, as you have to try and think in a different position, and it's not quite so easy. It's easier if you think back to when you're a service desk agent and think, what did bosses do to annoy me, rather than try and look the other way around. Anyway, I promised this table here they could yell out one first. Don't surprise them unless it's with chocolate. And looking around here, I think beer might be better.
Not
Beer
this
or
morning,
chocolate.
beer's not a good idea.
Not this morning, no. So, give me your thinking behind that.
There are going to be some changes that we know about. Don't let them be the last to know on the last day. If you know what's coming, let us know.
Yeah, share information is the key here. So if you know what's happening, make sure everybody knows what's going on. I was explaining to the table here that one of my son-in-laws works for a company where every year you have to reapply for your own job and be re-interviewed for your own job. Every year for 2 weeks, the managers have a nightmare because every person in this place is on edge because everybody's on a yearly contract. The company that are involved are not even smart enough to spread this out a little bit. They do it all in one big hit. So you've got everybody on the service desk thinking, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Am I going to have a job tomorrow? So, you know, sometimes those sort of things are outside our control. All we can do is do the best to make sure that we're fighting to make sure we keep as many people as we can on the service desk. So, don't surprise them unless it's with good news. Okay, where should we go now? Let's go over here. The gentleman in the yellow stripy shirt, that team there. Don't ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And I think that's a life skill as well. I mean, that's a life skill everywhere. It's real important that we don't, particularly sending people off into meetings and so on and so forth, that we don't do that. So that's a great one. I have no problem with that. Where's Ken Gobbin? Well, you got somebody over there?
Yes, we do.
We've got don't break promises, so don't stand in the way of progression.
Okay, don't make promises, don't stand in the way of progression, don't break them. The other thing, of course, is try not to make promises as well. I mean, it's, in the ideal world, you wouldn't have to make any promises or commitments. I prefer, you know, in my mind, commitments is a better word than promises. I know what you mean. You're talking more conceptualized, and I think you're absolutely right to use that word. And I get a bit upset at a lot of words. For example, in ITIL, you have words like incident. Incident to me doesn't have any power. It doesn't have any crunch. If we change them to the proper engineering word that Deming used and call them defects, could you imagine producing your report? We had 1,000 incidents last week, or we had 1,000 defects last week. It's a different attitude. I'm not saying you should change it. I'm just saying it forces you to think different. Just the simplicity of a simple word. So promises, I think you're absolutely right. You can't, particularly when you're talking about life and things like there might be potential pay rises coming up and that sort of thing. Well, I don't know. There might be some money in the budget next year for pay rises. Dum, there you are. You've done two. You've made a promise without realising it. At the same time, you put that chocolate on the end of it, that you'll get some more money. Where should we go next, Tessa?
Right down the back there.
Right at the back.
Right down the back.
Don't interrupt them when they're on a call.
Don't interrupt them when they're on a call. There's nothing worse, is there? Even this, you know. Even that sort of thing. When you think you're doing a favour, you're going to bring someone a cup of tea. You know, I've never understood time out, by the way. Is anybody sporty here, time out? I don't understand that. You got the other one, you're just beating them to death, you're just going to win, time out. No. Let's carry on. Let them get on with their job. And in fact, have you noticed how many people will actually do this and put their hand across when they're really concentrating? So if I'm really concentrating on something, I'll put my hand across to cut off the vision I don't want to see of other people moving or waving at me or doing this at me. People actually start getting into that habit. It's not to stop you stealing or seeing, it's just to let me get on with it, leave me alone. So look for the signals. It's a great one. I'm going to go to this table here then. Don't fail to reward and incentivize. That's a nice word. I like that one, incentivize. That's a great word. Yeah, don't fail. It's extremely important that when we're working on the systems that we have, that we're careful how we manage them as well. Yeah, for example, paying by performance can be quite a dangerous way, and we're inundated, managed staff, and we're inundated with statistics, are we not? Is there anybody got more stats than the service desk? Every time the phone's picked up, or the email comes in, or the social media comes in, when it came in, where it came in, who it came into, who picked it up, how long did it take to pick up, how long did it take to escalate, how long did it take to get it fixed, has it happened before, how many times this week? I mean, all this stuff can be used negatively to incentivize. The incentivization is, the one that matters is reducing the number of incidents. And that's a better team objective to say, we make suggestions from the service desk to other teams about incidents that can be removed and got rid of. That's a much better way to incentivize because we've got something to aim at as a team, but it's going to improve what happens rather than anything personal. So, got another team you want to pick?
We haven't had one from a kind of table by the bar.
The gaggle by the bar?
Yeah, they look like an intelligent bunch.
Okay, which this gentleman here in the blue shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look smart guy.
Yep. You guys by the bar there.
They're all looking round. It's not me, it's not me. I haven't got a blue shirt on, don't pick
There's
me.
a door with 2 people on it, I think, next to you, that lot. The dreaded passing round of a bit of paper. Without context? Yeah, don't give information without context. You know, so that if you're going to give information on it, you need to put in that why and that what the effect can be. So you're absolutely right. You have to contextualize it. I totally agree. What about, I'm just going to go over there.
Here we go.
Don't ignore their ideas.
Don't what?
Don't ignore their ideas.
Don't ignore their ideas. But have you tried this? Have you tried that? So when the business person says to you, have you tried this? Or does this work? Will this work? Don't ignore those. Sometimes it's a good idea to talk and ask why. Why do you think that would help? Because the thinking behind it can often be very, very, very useful. So don't ignore their ideas and suggestions and input. So ideas, suggestions, input, all that kind of thing. So what about this table here with the gentleman leaning like this? Don't micromanage. Yeah, I'm the opposite. Just leave me alone. Go away. Don't micromanage. Or if you do micromanage, know you're doing it and do it better. Sometimes it's part of our nature to do some of these things. I'm a detail freak. You know, if you say to me, look at something, I'll go to the nth degree. You know, I can't help myself doing it. Everything I do has a project in my head. How many have we got left? 2?
2.
Okay, where have we not been so far? Who's not answered a question so far? What about you guys here? You haven't yet, have you? Yep. Yep, you guys. Very good. Don't forget to train your staff. Let me give you a quick point about training, because in my role, I see a lot of training, and it gets confused with education. What's the difference? Training and education, they're vastly different, and you have to do both. And the only example I can give you is a very silly little joke, but it works. If you had a 13-year-old daughter who said she came home from school and said she had sex education, what would you think? What about if she came home and said she had sex training? It's a whole different game, isn't it? One is knowledge, one is putting knowledge into practice. So don't forget, when you have education, you need to have training. If you send someone on an ITIL course or whatever, you need to come back and let them practice these things. Let them get involved in them, let them get trained. So that, I know it's a silly joke, but it makes the point clearer than I can any other way. Education is knowledge. Training is how to use the knowledge, if you see what I mean. And a lot of that is what we call on-the-job training. Oh, that's a bad example, isn't it? I forget that. At work training. But training tends to be sitting with someone learning and working and learning and working. But the knowledge goes behind it. Very important. Okay?
Final one here.
Don't make the agents feel undervalued.
Oh, yeah. Don't make the agents feel undervalued. Understand the value to the business. You know, one thing you can do that's very easy to do on most of your tools is to add a little extra drop down. I know, oh no, he wants me to record more. Just a drop down. Let's say it's for an airline. That drop down would be things like potentially delayed flights, no toilets working on the plane, no baggage going on the plane, no pilot available for the plane, no one to operate the jetway. These are the potential impacts of each incident. And when you see the impact they could have on the business, you immediately feel more valuable. Well, last month we had 6 incidents that could have stopped us flying planes, and we stopped all 6. It gives us something to achieve over and above the how many priority 1s, how many priority 2s, how many priority 3s. How do we interface with the business? It becomes natural.
We've had 10. We've gone.
Another big area is second level, and then third level, and fourth level. Levels above, should we call it? Subsequent levels. There's a nice word. So, what I'm going to do then is to say, don't do that, you'll annoy second level. We have to work with second level. We have to harness service level. We have to, like a lion tame, we have to learn how to use them. So, there we go. Let's take a few minutes and get another list. Okay. How many of you have like meetings once a week or once a month or something where you just chat over what's been happening? Does everybody have those kind of meetings? So this would be quite a good presentation to do, I think, once we get all 4 listed up. Do 1 per meeting or do it all in one go. It's got some great stuff in there, and it's all to your heart. Everybody knows everything on this list. There's nothing here that everybody's like, that's a surprise. You might be surprised we bothered to put it on there, but no one would be surprised at the content. Because as I go around talking to folks, I'm seeing the lists are almost identical. They're just in a slightly different order. Some go down a little different tack. So, who thought, well, I'm here just to annoy second level? It's the reason I exist, just to torment second level. Okay, right. Well, Ken, do you want to give us a first one?
Well, let's go in.
Don't escalate incidents without the appropriate level of information.
Don't escalate incidents without the correct level of escalation. Have I got that? Information, sorry. Is that right? So basically, before you escalate, make sure you've got all the right information to pass on. How does that one work? Do you all have that one or something similar? Yeah, that was the easy one. Starts getting harder from then on. What about this table? Can you want to do that one?
Yeah, here we go.
We've got don't forget to build relationships.
Don't forget to build relationships by meeting each other, talking to each other. You need some off-incident talking, if you see what I mean. Does that make sense? You know, you need some talking where we're not talking about a particular incident or a particular person or downtime or priority. We're discussing issues. Maybe a good idea is a once-a-week communication or something like that, maybe. You got one more?
Yep, another one.
Don't forget to ask the basic questions.
Yeah, the basic, simple questions that you can jump over by quickly going through something and think you're doing a good job, and those basics could be the solution. What about over here? This team here, in the red and the orange and the... Yeah, you guys.
Don't forget to tell them what you've already done so they're not doubling up on the investigation you've already done.
Yeah, so not just give them the information, also explain the way you got the information, how you got to that point. So don't forget to tell them how you got to the point and how you got the information. Perfect. What about right down the front here? We haven't heard from you guys for ages down here. Don't escalate calls that are due to fail their SLA. So would have been open too long or something like that. Yep. Yeah, well, isn't that what we do? So we can blame second level. Any SLA you're not going to meet, immediately escalate. That's the new rule we've just added. Personally, I don't like service level agreements. I think the concept's brilliant, but I don't like the word agreement. That insinuates negotiation and so on. I prefer service level commitments, that word we used earlier. Our commitment to you is this. We're not agreeing it. We're not. If you want to differ, then we can talk about it and try and do better or whatever. But it's a commitment. And I don't want to get caught up in that, but just think that service level agreement to a business manager means it's negotiable, And in most cases, it's not negotiable. So,
Over here, Mel.
we've got 5.
Over here.
Don't make promises on their behalf.
Don't make promises on their behalf. I'll pass the second level. They'll fix it for you. Now you've committed them to fixing it because you just said they will fix it. So that's a cracker. What about down here? What about you guys? You gave me bad news earlier. Give us. Don't let them. Okay, for those at the back, don't let them speak to customers. Oh, heck, write it up.
I am writing it up.
Write it up, absolutely. We're not going to mess around with that one. That's too good. What about the table behind the table? That one over there. You got any more to add? Don't blame them or pass the buck, absolutely. Especially when it comes back again, when second level in theory have solved it and it comes back again because it doesn't work now, again. That's when it's tempting to say, oh no, they've screwed it up again, or something like that. A little quick sentence and you think makes it sound good, in fact makes it sound a lot worse. How many have we got? 2 more.
2 left to go.
2 more. Where's
Over the back here.
Can't hear it. Hang on, Ken's coming with a mic on.
I've got it. Don't bug them for updates. Well, they're trying to resolve the issue. Is that what we said?
Yes.
Perfect. Should roll reverse, really. I can hear. You can see. It'll be great.
Okay. Don't bug them too much for updates when they're trying to resolve an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, you should agree that the updates and feedback periodic, every hour, every 5 hours, whatever. That's part of escalating. That's absolutely on the money. We've got one left. I'm going to come right down the front here. If you've run out, don't be frightened to say so. They're getting better and better now. Don't badmouth colleagues to customers. Oh, she did this, he did that, whatever. No. If somebody else already handled this incident before, sometimes obviously you've got to talk about that person, but you don't want to talk about them negatively. You're talking about, yes, he or she got the right information, it's not working properly, whatever. Don't. So, we've now got another 10. That's 30. And we've got 5 minutes. Okay, why don't we just...
That's not customers, that should be something else. We've done customers.
Management, that was.
Should be. Yeah, go on, I'll change it while you do it.
Management, that's any management. We don't have time to talk about these in groups, so yell some out. Don't do this or you annoy people above you. Anybody? Don't not do your job. So don't not do your job. That works for me. Yeah, yes.
Any hands?
So do your job properly. Yeah, right. Another one.
Here we go, Malcolm.
Hang on.
Don't wait until something's become a disaster before you tell your manager. We like to be warned in advance.
Right. Don't wait for something to become a disaster. Let your manager know as soon as possible so that he or she can get involved in it. Remember the miners in Peru that were under the ground for all those, was it a month or whatever it was, they were stuck down there? It's reckoned now one of the reasons that they got them out safely was that the guy who's in charge of mining, the Minister for Mining and stuff, on day one said, I'm in charge of this. Everything went through him and his team. So there was no conflict about which team's talking to which, total feedback to the press and everything else, but it was organised in one point. Otherwise it could have been chaos and those poor folks would have probably ended up not coming out of there.
Don't not make him a cup of tea.
That would be my personal favourite. Or her make a cup of tea.
Yes.
Don't not make...
So don't make sure they get a cup of tea. Yeah, that would worry me. If you came in with a cup of tea, I'd be expecting bad news. Gifts. Here you are, boss. Here's a candy, a cookie to go with it, boss. Right, over here, got any more? Let's try and quickly get 10 minutes.
Don't say no.
Don't say no to the boss. If you do have to say no, give a good reason.
Don't ever meet them unprepared.
Don't ever meet them unprepared. You're talking about how? I'm not sure about this one. I think I know what you mean. That you make sure you're prepared before you go in there. Backup data is the key, not just the answer, but the backup data, the alternatives, the possibilities. They're the things. It's extremely important. How many have we got left?
5.
5.
Don't ask for more money.
Sorry?
Oh, hang on, don't ask for more money.
Don't delegate. Don't delegate to your manager unless it's absolutely essential. So I call that delegation upwards, absolutely. Don't commit your manager. Delegate, commit, yes. Oh, don't go with problems, go with solutions. And make that word S is important on the end. Unless there only is one solution, go with alternatives so the boss can make a choice. That's really important. You had your hand up. Hang on, Ken, I've got one here.
In sync with number 4, don't say yes unless you can deliver it.
Don't say yes to your boss unless you can deliver. Absolutely. Again, make the boss know the implications of failure. Ken, you're waving away at the back there.
I've got one more.
One more. This is the last one.
Don't forget they're human.
No, I said bosses. Don't forget they're human. Yeah, they want to laugh. Things go wrong. They want to be happy as well. Okay, we've got to come, Tessa and I and Ken have got to come to the end right now. What we try to do is to create you a great presentation that you can take back, as I said, to meetings or just print out and pass it around, sit and chat about it. But this will generate lots of conversation if there's monthly meetings, just one of these slides at each one. And I would suggest, if you think you're doing that, don't show, say, come up with 5 things about managers, come up with 5 things about customers, and then compare theirs with your list here. And that gives you great conversation. So we try to energize you by not getting hugging and all the rest of it, but talking, which usually energizes most service desk people. So Tess and Ken and I, can you come up and join us? We're doing a joint effort, so can you say thanks to my co-partners here?
Thank you. Well done, guys.